Hello, lovely beings. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. So, I wanted to do this live to open up the conversation about sexuality and especially sexuality in partnership, especially sexuality in long term partnership, because there's just so much to say and to feel and to experience in that area. And many of us are not grown up with or did not learn to talk about sexuality. There is a lot of talk about sexuality in the world, right? But to really talk vulnerably and openly with our partners about what we love, about what we're afraid of, about what we want, I don't see it as being the default for many, many couples. And I certainly had to learn that as well. So I want to give you a practice and also a little bit of a framework. And just as a funny start, Troy and me, my partner Troy and me, had a sexy date planned yesterday, and we got into a huge argument. And I saw us spiraling down, and at some point I said, "Okay, let's do this practice." And sometimes I can be super resistant to doing my own practices. Like I can be super resistant to that. And he said, okay, let's do it. And so we did the practice that I want to share with you as well. And it totally transformed our argument into an upward spiral again. So I can testify that it's really, really, really effective. So, about sexuality in long term relationships, like there is something that I think many of you have experienced, where when you fall in love there's a lot of attraction, and once you enter a relationship and once the relationship goes longer and longer, sometimes the attraction fades or it changes, or it's just not as easy as it was in the beginning to rekindle that attraction or that passion. And there are a couple of things I feel that are important to just note around this. Is one, it's kind of natural that hormones change over time, so don't make it a huge problem. It just means that it needs a little bit more attention. It doesn't mean that there is no attraction anymore, it's just not on the foreground so much anymore, right? And another thing is that when we enter like a longer term relationship and relational dynamics, relationship patterns, deeper parts in ourselves are getting touched and brought to the surface. And that also transfers into our sexuality. So in the beginning there's also like a lot of mystery, and there's a lot of wanting, like wanting to get to know this other person. There might be a little bit of projection of who this other person is, and at some point, some months or years down the road, a lot of the projection has fallen away, and there's just more inner stuff to be with. And also this is supernatural, and it's super beautiful because it allows for much deeper honesty and deeper vulnerability in the relationship. So there's this like turn on and passion that comes when you first meet and when there's hormones, and oh, it's also exciting. But there's also a certain turn on and passion that can happen when there's deep sharing and deep vulnerability, and when you get to know each other so deeply. So I feel like this is something super, super special about longer term relationships and sexuality, and keep nourishing sexuality in longer term relationships. So also there's something very common about when you start living together, when you start sort of cohabitating. Also when you have a family, like there's just a lot of daily life to manage together. There's maybe extra stress, and all of that often is not an invitation for the body to be in this open sexual state. So there are two things that I want to bring in today, which is one, talk about sexuality, and two, schedule it. I used to be super resistant to scheduling it. I thought it was super unsexy, and it had to be in the moment, in the raw passion of the moment. But actually scheduling it as a date night is also making a commitment to, okay, when we have that time together, I'm going to show up not in my daily life. I have my to-do list self, but I allow myself to be who I want to be in sexuality with you. So it's not just about what you're doing, but also very much about who you're being when you're in a sexual space. And that's something that scheduling sexuality really, really allows for. And then there is the open conversation. Like really, there are so many habits and patterns and assumptions that we hold in our sexuality about ourselves, but also about our partner, about how we do it, how we don't do it. And having a regular conversation to speak about desires, to speak about what we love, also to speak about what we're afraid of or what we're hesitant about or resistant towards is so, so nourishing and so, so helpful. So this is something that I would really invite you all into. I'm gonna explain the practice and then I really hope you'll just go ahead and do it. So it's a practice that I learned from Leila Martin, one of my teachers, and it's called Desires, Fears and Loves. It's very, very simple. You can start every sexual interaction with this practice just to be on the same page, to tune in, to get to know each other, right? Like I said, like not falling into the habits, but really stay open and fresh and new to what can be possible now. So what you want to do is you want to have a timer and you're going to use a question that will be repeating and you're going to set a timer for each person. So the first question you'll be working is what do you desire? And what do you desire, meaning like in sexuality, what do you desire? But also who do you desire to be in sexuality? Again, not just what do you want to do, but also who do you desire to be? And one partner is going to ask the question and the other partner is going to answer the question. And you're going to set this timer for 2 minutes or for 3 minutes per person. And in that time, one partner keeps asking and one partner keeps responding. So if Troy was asking me, he would say, what do you desire? And I would start feeling, well, I desire to be in a space of openness and joy, and I desire to feel alive. And then when I come to a natural pause, Troy will ask again, what do you desire? And I will feel again, I desire to kiss you. I desire to look into your eyes. And when I come to a natural pause, he asks again, what do you desire? So the question keeps repeating, and it's really an invitation to get into deeper layers of what my desires are. And when the timer goes, we switch, and I'm gonna ask my partner, I'm gonna ask Troy, and when he comes to a natural pause, I ask again. And then when the timer goes, you go to the next question, which is, what are you afraid of in sexuality in this moment? So if Troy was asking me, what are you afraid of? I might say like, I'm afraid that I won't stop worrying because I'm stressed about work, and I'm afraid that my thoughts won't go away. I'm afraid that I won't be turned on. I'm afraid that I'll be distracted. I'm afraid that you'll get distracted. I'm afraid that it won't be as nice as I imagine it to be. Okay, I pause and Troy asks again, what are you afraid of? And I feel again, I'm afraid that I'm too tired. I'm afraid that I actually rather want to sleep, right? So you get, and then the timer goes and we switch. So you get the point of that. And then the last question is, what do you love about me? So Troy will ask me, what do you love about me? And I say, I love how you make me breakfast this morning. I love how happy you are when I enter the room, no matter what you're doing. You always look up and you smile at me, and you always are like happy as a child to see me. I love how your body is so attuned to goodness and pleasure. And anyway, until the timer goes and we switch. So those are the 3 prompts. For the person who is asking the question, the only thing that you do is you hold space for the answer. You're not going to react. You're not going to say, I also have that desire. You're not going to say, but that fear, you don't have to have that because, right? So you're just holding space for your partner to explore deeper. And you thank them vulnerability, you're also not necessarily like continuing the conversation afterwards and like saying, well, when you said that about your fear, I don't think that's true, because like really let this be a sacred space and a space in which everything is possible, everything is be explored, and you won't be held, how do you say that? Like it won't be held against you. Also, like when you say a desire, it doesn't mean you just have to do it right now, right? Like it's a free space to explore desire, and it's not, you're not in any way obligated to then go ahead and do it. So this is the practice that I really, really want to encourage you to do, and go play with it, go explore with it, and really bring curiosity, bring exploration back. Like I said in the beginning, don't problematize. Like if you feel like, oh, I'm kind of stuck here, don't problematize. Like really see it, keep seeing it as an exploration. And for me, that's been the best way to keep passion, to keep intimacy alive. Also, years in the relationship, to keep it new, to keep it interesting. And to know that there's always new things to be explored. So let me know if you're watching, let me know, how does this sound? Do you feel like this is something you can do? Does this seem exciting to you? Are you ready to go to your partner and say, I got this practice, let's do it? And also the other thing that I mentioned at the beginning, schedule a date night. Like really schedule a date night right now, and let that be your time for sexuality. Let it be the time for exploration, for play, for getting to know each other again. And let me know how it goes. If you want more exploration into sexuality, more exploration into your relationship, practices, exercises that you can do in the bedroom, but also communication exercises like this, I'll be starting a 4-week series, Passionate Partners, in a couple of weeks. So if you want to have all that information and be updated, send me your email address and I'll make sure that you'll get all of that. And meanwhile, I wish you so much ease and joy and exploration and passion in your sexual interactions with yourself and with your partner. Sending you so much love.